happened though is oil, particularly oil and coal, have been replaced by natural gas. It's still a fossil fuel. So we're very fossil fuel dependent. We became very single fuel dependent, being natural gas. In fact, today, just under 60% of your electricity is coming from natural gas sources. So today versus 10 years ago, 12 years ago, less than 1% of your electricity comes from oil, about 3% from coal. So the top part of the chart is all about natural gas replacing oil and coal. But if you look just below that, nuclear, there's been no real change in nuclear the source. It's our second largest source of electricity in New England. If you were to go 10 years before the year 2000, nuclear would have been much more, much higher percentage of electricity for New England. 4 nuclear power plants were retired. If you go back 10 years, 1990s, nearly 0% of electricity in New England came from natural gas, but once those nuclear plants retired, natural gas plants were replacing the nuclear plants. So natural gas has grown because it replaced nuclear, which is a non-carbon emitting source, and then now replacing oil and coal. I think a very interesting thing, which I think is relevant to our project, if you look down here at the bottom on the renewable sources, there's hydro, which is about 7%. Most of that doesn't count towards state renewable portfolio standards, but is renewable nonetheless. And then the 7%, which is deemed renewable by ISO, give you a little bit of background on that. That 7%, about 49% of that is wood, is biomass. Another 14% of that 7% is wind, and the rest is landfill gas and trash burning, refuse burning power plants. So some people don't call all that renewable, but that's within that 7%. I think the really important thing to understand, and if you think about policy and where is New England going in the future, New England, generally, the states have these renewable portfolio standards, and collectively, they really strongly suggest that they dictate that as a matter of policy and law, we have to work towards having 25% of our energy sources being from renewables as classified in these RPS standards by the year 2025. So you can readily see that going from 7% to 25% in about 12 years, when there isn't any really renewable projects of scale happening in New England, is a very, very challenging part for all of us to do, a very challenging policy to meet for all of us, and one that we all agree, I believe, that is a good place to go, to have more renewable, less fossil. So we need more renewable sources, even if they don't count towards the renewable portfolio standard. They still can help reduce that 52%. If you include coal and oil, more like 55% of our sources that come from fossil. Another interesting statistic some of you might not realize, 88% of the carbon dioxide emissions from power plants in New England come from natural gas. So as you know, President Obama is trying to address climate change, and for New England, that is very much has an impact on our 52% of the generation that comes from natural gas. So we believe that the Northern Pass Project, we know the Northern Pass Project helps address every one of those issues. Everything that I just showed you on that chart, Northern Pass can contribute towards the solution, is directly a response to those challenges. The first one, lower energy costs, 20 to 35 million estimated savings just for New Hampshire alone, much larger numbers for New England in general from this low-cost power. And that just works by the normal market forces. Just by bringing in 1,200 megawatts of power that is price competitive, it lowers the overall market price in New England. And as consumers, we get that automatically. We don't have to do anything, it just happens. It happens in the price of energy in the market. New tax revenues is quite substantial. Public Service Company is the largest taxpayer in New Hampshire. We pay just about $60 million a year in property taxes. So you can see what this single project does, bringing about $28 million is quite a substantial influx of money to the communities in which the facilities exist, to the counties. We also pay state utility property taxes. So the whole state, the communities, the county all get additional revenue to provide the services and needs of our citizens from this revenue. So again, a very real benefit that comes simply by building the project. And of course, from an energy point of view, other great benefits, having a cleaner, more diverse, and more reliable energy supply The energy that we get from Hydro-Quebec is dispatchable, meaning that it's there, it's reliable, it can go up, it can go down based on needs. It is obviously a clean source of power and very stable. So it has up to 5 million tons annually of CO2 reductions, and it does that by displacement. In other words, if you bring more renewable power in New England, or if you generate more renewable power within New England, you're offsetting natural gas, so that's how you get lower carbon savings, is offsetting that high percentage of fossil fuels that we have in New England. And jobs is very important to us. It's obviously very important to us in New Hampshire, and this will produce 1,200 local jobs during the 3-year construction period. And it's the largest construction project in New Hampshire. There isn't any other $1.4 billion projects in New Hampshire, and all the construction we're talking about here is in New Hampshire. I don't think there's any job like it or any construction project like it in all of New England, but certainly not in New Hampshire. So, and that has a lot of secondary effects, as you know. If you employ people and with any hotels to stay in, restaurants to eat in, et cetera, it has a multiplying effect throughout the communities where this construction is happening. And here is something that is very, very unique. It doesn't exist anywhere else that I've seen, and that is there's no cost to consumers. I know people say, well, how could that be? I mean, it just sounds too good to be true, but this is a case where it is true. And all the transmission facilities in New England, including the 1,000 miles of transmission that we have here in New Hampshire, PSNH owns and maintains, all that is paid for by you and I in our monthly bills. The difference with this project is that Hydro-Quebec will pay the cost of this line. It will pay the annual cost, the serving cost, the property taxes. Those will come from payments that Hydro-Quebec makes to the Northern Pass company, and that which will be given to. So consumers don't pay anything. And the reason why Hydro-Quebec is going to do this is because by putting this low-cost power that they have in Canada into New England, it is a good business proposition to them. They do make money, and they are able to cover their costs. So it's one of those win-win-win situations for everybody. And again, I don't think it exists anywhere else. And certainly for New Hampshire, we have no abutting state or that can do that. But having Canada to our north happens to be to our geographic advantage, and we want to take advantage of that. So back